Good morning, everybody. My name's Allan Errington, as you heard earlier. I'd like to thank Emily and Step Change in Safety for inviting me today to speak about ESS, my organisation's incorporation of the Human Factors Toolkit into our day-to-day business. So it's really about the workings of the toolkit itself and how we have put it in place so that our guys actually participate as part of our workforce engagement plans and procedures. I will be taking you to a coffee break, so stick with me. I promise you a hot beverage. So, I'm probably here as a bit of a sales pitch for Step Change in Safety. I came back from Brazil 2 years ago. My background's operations, it's not health and safety, although I've been involved in health and safety for over 20 years within my role in operations. And I inherited a full set of policies and procedures from ESS. A fantastic set of procedures were already in place. I could have really put my feet up and sat for the retirement and just let things go as they were, because we didn't have huge incidents, we didn't have any issues with workforce engagement, or so it seemed. But because I've been in Brazil, 3 years out of the country, I had to understand what was happening in the industry. So my first 2 steps were HSE website, which led me to the Step Change in Safety website. And I found 6, 7 tools, which were all free, all sitting there waiting to be used, and I could see a real benefit in incorporating some of those things within our business. And I saw a plan going forward to be able to change the way that we use our policies, procedures and processes and make them more engaging with the workforce. So we are an active member of Step Change as ESS, as you all are. A little bit like a gym membership, I think. Everybody pays and probably don't either go or use the benefits of the club. As you can see, I'm an active member of a gym. Playing our part in development and communicating and adoption of common standards and good practice. All I could see within Step Change was the fact of sharing best practice, standardising some of our process and procedures. We have a mutual beneficial relationship between ourselves and Step Change. The tools that are free to us to use, we've incorporated within that, and I'm able to come to these events and be able to speak about Step Change, about the benefits they've given to our organisation. The tools themselves are an integral part of our ESS HSE 3-year plan. So my first stage was building a strategy for 3 years for HSEQ. And within that, we initially, for the first 6 months of that part of the business, took the human factors first steps, presentations, and put them to the guys offshore, introduced them to the notion of human factors, and the guys started using the case studies, and we had a lot of information coming back, and we very quickly saw that our teams offshore were really pleased and really engaged in giving some information back to us so that we could use it to improve our plans going forward. And the workforce engagement, as I said, has really been improved greatly by speaking to the guys and actually letting them tell us what's right and what's wrong so that we can incorporate them back into our plans. Well, probably gone too far past that. We took out there was a plan in the presentations, probably not there. It's all right. We have an annual action plan that we have for all of our teams offshore. It's broken down into the 4 quarters for the year, and within each of those quarters we've incorporated the Step Change human factors questionnaires, 2 of each to be done every quarter. Within those, the results of those questionnaires are all analysed, so we've taken a decision to go through the list of the questionnaires within the toolkit. So quarter 1 was looking at the training and competence and procedures. We've taken those the findings from that and created some analysis which will help us build into the plan going forward. The 2 slides coming up now will show us what we've asked the guys, how we've taken the information, and what we'll be doing with that information. So the training and competence was it's the first number 1 within the questionnaire toolkit. We've put these out to all of our guys, so there was a range of either single people on a unit, on a small unit, filling out the questionnaire, or a whole group as part of their health and safety weekly meeting on board. Use the computer, start asking questions within the questionnaire. So within the training competence, we had 72 respondents. 4 questions asked. Have you received human factors training? Do you receive training that's well structured? Have you been asked to do something you don't feel competent to do? And does your training cover infrequently performed tasks? It was quite key that two of the things shown very largely within the analysis was 44% of our workforce have not received any human factors training. And we are very new in the start of incorporating human factors and workforce engagement into our organisation, so we're quite expecting something like that. So the first thing is we can look at that, produce some training for the guys going forward. 44% of our workforce in those respondents. It's pretty much a good snapshot for our business to say that we do need to do something about that. 19% of the workforce are being asked to carry out a task without the competence to do so. That was the big red flag for me. Maybe 20% of the guys asked have said that they've actually carried something out that they weren't competent to do. So the competence part of the whole training, it's quite worrying that, going back to your speak about the NHS, if 20% of the people within that theatre are not competent and they're doing a job that they're not trained in, there's going to be some really catastrophic circumstances. Procedures, we had 44 respondents within the procedures. 45% of the workforce have not received training in procedure writing, and that included some of our managers. So again, we've got to look at that. It's not just our guys on the front line, it's our managers that are not fully trained in writing procedures. And 27% of the workforce felt they have no input into those procedures. So a lack of workforce engagement, a lack of communication on the units. So the focus on the action and improvement. This is how I envisage for the next 3 years that we take this information every quarter and start building plans for the next year and the year after. Rather than me sitting in a dark room, sending out a set of procedures and processes and themes for the year, this really will understand what the workforce are looking at, where the gaps are within our competencies and trainings. So once fully reviewed within the training and competence will be a requirement for human factors training. So that's gone into our plans for this year. Review the structure of the training and the training delivery method. Again, it's how do we get these guys trained, not just offshore. We need to bring them in, get the managers trained in the first instance so that we get real delivery, good delivery of the training. Reinforcement of stop the job protocols. Again, people saying that 90% of our people saying they've done a task without having the true competency to carry it out. We need to understand that within our process and procedures. We need to be fully aware that the guys are not competent or they're not worried about putting their hand up and saying that they're not trained. And a focus on tasks, infrequent tasks. As a team offshore for ESS, we carry out catering, housekeeping, facilities management. Very many of our tasks are day-to-day repetitive processes. So they really do have to focus on the fact that we are doing day-to-day tasks. When something comes that's infrequent, such as emptying food containers once a week, they really have to refocus on that because they're used to doing the same job every day. And through the procedures, there'll be engagement required from all the team members for reviewing the procedures itself and procedural training for all of our workforce. So again, this is being put into our plans for this year's training plan and going forward for the other 2 years of our safety strategy. And that's pretty much a snapshot of what we're doing. So thanks very much for your time.